Welcome to Native America Calling. I'm Sean Spruce. First Nations actor Graham Greene earned widespread praise and an Oscar nomination for his portrayal of Kicking Bird in the 1990 film Dances with Wolves. He won critical acclaim as Walter Crowhorse in Thunderheart. Those and dozens of other film and TV roles over his nearly 5 decades-long acting career inspired generations of Indigenous actors and filmmakers to challenge stereotypes and broaden perspectives of how Indigenous people are represented. Today we celebrate his life and career. Join us after the news.
This is National Native News. I'm Antonia Gonzalez. Bureau of Indian Affairs offices in Wisconsin and Minnesota remain open after the Department of Government Efficiency targeted them for termination. As Danielle Kading reports, the initiative formerly led by billionaire Elon Musk had proposed canceling leases for several offices earlier this year.
The cancellations affected offices in Ashland and Shawano in Wisconsin and Bemidji in Minnesota. Wisconsin tribes say the Bureau of Indian Affairs office in Ashland is a critical regional hub that processes land trust applications and provides education assistance and law enforcement support. Robert Blanchard is chair of the Bad River Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa. He says closing the office would have been a hardship for the tribe.
We would have probably had to go to maybe Minneapolis or some other place further away from us to get services.
Bill Broidrick represents the owner of the Ashland office. He says Wisconsin tribes adopted a resolution in opposition to its closure.
On that basis, the decision was made by the Bureau of Indian Affairs to keep the office open.
The Bureau of Indian Affairs says all 3 offices remain open. The agency says it's working to ensure adequate space continues to be available to support delivery of services to tribes. For National Native News, I'm Danielle Kading.
A site on Douglas Island could be the future home of a casino-like gambling hall due to a proposal from the Central Council of Tlingit and Haida Indian Tribes of Alaska. The proposal was approved by the National Indian Gaming Commission. Tlingit and Haida says the facility's approval represents a step toward economic self-sufficiency and sovereignty for the tribe. KTOO's Clarice Larson has more.
The land is on Fish Creek Road, not far from Eagle Crest Ski Area on Douglas Island. It's just a small piece of a native allotment owned by tribal members who lease it to Tlingit and Haida. Tlingit and Haida spokesperson Dixie Hutchinson confirmed that the tribe is developing a gaming facility. The tribe intends to offer Class 2 gaming, which covers things like pull tabs, bingo, and slot-style electronic machines. The National Indian Gaming Commission's acting chair approved the tribe for site-specific gaming at the location in January. The decision came just days before President Donald Trump began his second term in office. For decades, federal officials and state officials in Alaska have said that native allotments owned by tribal members in Alaska were not considered Indian country. Therefore, they are not under the jurisdiction of tribes and cannot be home to casinos or casino-like gaming halls under the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act. But Michelle Jakathot Demert, a professor at the University of Alaska Fairbanks Tribal Governance Department, says the legal interpretation of native allotments shifted when President Joe Biden came into office.
During the Biden administration, there was a solicitor's opinion that evaluated the laws and made the determination that the laws supported that Indian tribes in Alaska have jurisdiction over allotments.
She says gaming serves as an important governmental function for many tribes in the U.S.
You know, people look at it that it's just this big money-making operation, but it's so much more than that. It's an opportunity to make money and an opportunity to put that right back into your governmental system to provide essential services to your citizens.
Hutchinson says the project is still in the early phases of development. She says the tribe intends to reinvest the gaming hall's revenue into essential tribal programs and services. In Juneau, I'm Clarice Larson.
And I'm Antonia Gonzalez.
National Native News is produced by Koahnic Broadcast Corporation, with funding by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Support for law and justice-related programming provided by Hobbs, Stross, Dean & Walker, LLP, a national law firm dedicated to promoting and defending tribal rights for over 40 years. More information available at hobbsstrauss.com.
Minutes from downtown Anchorage, the Alaska Native Heritage Center is more than a museum. It's where Alaska Native traditions, languages, and arts come alive. There's always something new at the Alaska Native Heritage Center who support this show. More at alaskanative.net.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.
This is Native America Calling. I'm Sean Spruce. Graham Greene came from humble beginnings in Ontario, Canada, growing up in Oswego on the Six Nations Reserve. He worked as a steel worker and a welder. He was working as a concert roadie when a friend convinced him to try an acting workshop in Toronto. He appeared in a couple of TV shows before making his film debut in 1983's Running Brave. He never looked back. Greene's standout roles are too numerous to count. He appeared in films like Clear Cut, Thunderheart, Die Hard with a Vengeance, The Green Mile, and The Twilight Saga's New Moon. Of course, he was nominated for an Oscar for his memorable role in Dances with Wolves in 1991. He also appeared in TV series such as Northern Exposure, Longmire, The Last of Us, and Reservation Dogs, among many others. He won a Grammy. He was given the Order of Canada. He earned a spot on the Canadian Walk of Fame. He won a Canadian Screen Award for Best Supporting Performance in a Comedy for his role in the 2024 comedy thriller Seeds. And he was just given the Canadian Governor-General's Performing Arts Award for Lifetime Artistic Achievement. Greene inspired generations of Indigenous actors and filmmakers. He was an influential advocate for telling better and more accurate Indigenous stories. He died Monday in Ontario at the age of 73. Today we take a moment to reflect on his contributions to the arts and to those who knew him. You can join our conversation. Give us a call, 1-800-996-2848. That's also 1-800-99-NATIVE. Let's now meet today's guests. Joining us from Chicago, Illinois is Dallas Goldtooth. He is an actor and a screenwriter. He is Dene and Dakota. Dallas, hello, and welcome back to Native America Calling.
Oh, good to be here.
Great to have you, brother. Joining us from Ontario, Canada is Gary Farmer. He is an actor and a musician. He is Cayuga, Tuscarora, and Mohawk. Gary, hello, and welcome back to you as well. Always a pleasure.
Scanos, Waguego.
Thank you, Gary. Joining us also today is Wes Studi. He is an actor and a film producer. He's a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. Wes, welcome back to Native America Calling to you as well.
OCO, and yeah, great to be here.
OCO.
All is well.
All right, good to hear it, Wes. And joining us from New York, we have Vince Schilling. He is the editor and founder of NativeViewpoint.com. He's also a certified Rotten Tomatoes critic. He is Akwesasne Mohawk. Vince, welcome back to Native America Calling, brother.
There you go, Sean. So glad to be here. And wow, it's quite a cast of folks here today.
Yeah, this is definitely a high caliber group of guests here on Native America Calling, but it should be to honor Graham Greene. And Wes, I want to begin with you today. You and Graham Greene, you were contemporaries, and in some ways your careers paralleled one another. You crossed paths professionally many times. Wes, do you remember the very first time you met Graham Greene?
Actually met him, I think, around the time we did the Hillman Mysteries for PBS a number of years ago. I had seen him for the very first time, I think, Dances with Wolves. So I think I saw him walking down the street in Pierre, South Dakota, but I never actually met him until a number of years later.
When did you become friends? And I saw you both on a panel at Santa Fe Indian Market last year, and you just were chumming it up like old buddies, ribbing each other, giving each other a hard time, telling old war stories. When did you two really connect and bond?
Well, I think the time that I just mentioned was probably the first time that we ever actually got to sort of know each other, and yeah, kind of hit it off in one way or another. You know, he was quite the character, you know, and it was a matter of being contemporaries, as well as we were almost always up for the same parts, you know, given our age and everything, and hopefully our expertise was somewhat comparable, you know.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
Gary,
yeah, we also had the opportunity to do a lot of you know, speaking engagements and appearances that were always a whole lot of fun to do, and it was an opportunity to get to know someone who I totally respected in terms of his acting abilities and the way he put his whole self into the business of acting.
Thank you, Wes. Gary, how about you? Now, your professional connection with Graham Greene also goes way back. You were both in 1989's Powwow Highway. Did you know him before you were both in that legendary film?
Graham and I are cousins. You know, we've known each other since we were 5 years old. Graham was 6, I was 5. My grandmother lived across from his family. My grandmother and his father were first cousins. And, you know, Graham had like 8 children in his family or so. I was an only child for 8 years. So I used to get all the wealth of love. And Graham used to come over and steal all my stuff. No, he used to just love to play with our stuff. And we've had a relationship ever since.
Now, Gary, reflecting back on your childhood, 5 and 6 years old, did you ever imagine that you would both become these huge native celebrities and icons in entertainment?
No, we both ended up in the same rehearsal hall in 1977. But prior to that, Graham was an amazing sound man. And my sister used to have a recital. She's a dance teacher here on the res at Six Nations. And Graham and I used to do sound and lights and also MC the show. In those days, I swear we were like Martin and Lewis. You know, we used to do these skits on stage that were just outrageous and hilarious, and a lot of love. And we're both, you know, relatives. And oddly enough, we had very similar careers in a lot of ways. In fact, just listening to a lot of the stuff, and I can't believe the outpouring of love for him on social media and on television worldwide. And that's amazing to me. It's actually helped me grow a better appreciation of my first cousin, second cousin. And so I just loved our time together. We used to even be roomies when, you know, actors don't, takes a long time to sustain. We all both started in the theater. And so we were in a household of actors. There was about 6 of us for quite a few years, actually.
Sounds like a wonderful time, Gary. Dallas, how about you? Where did you first encounter Graham Greene? Did you know him? Was it first on screen, or did you actually meet him in person the very first time?
I've seen him in person, a number of different panels for film festivals, but I never got to meet him until Reservation Dogs when he came on for the last season there. And, you know, we didn't share any scenes together, but got to meet with him then. And also got to meet with, last I saw him was actually at the premiere of a movie that we did together called Seeds, directed and written by Gunatio Horn at the Toronto Film Festival. And we had a good time there visiting and talking up there. So I'm of that generation that, you know, first encountered and got to know Graham on screen. Just always saw him as a major part of Native cinema, along with my other uncles here on the call with Wes and Gary.
Mm. Well, Dallas, you mentioned Reservation Dogs. Graham played a special role, Maximus, in that series. And we're going to go ahead and play some audio from a scene in which he's talking with the show's protagonist, Bear, played by actor DeFaro Wunatai, excuse me.
I don't like people. But you're all right. We're kindred spirits, I think. We see things other people can't, and people are either afraid of it or they're jealous because it's powerful. So stay as long as you like. We could partner up on our powers, work the property, build up the signal, and get the eggplants ready.
Yeah, classic performance. Dallas, what was Graham Greene like on set during those? What can you
He's
tell us?
he's always a calm, steady presence. And actually, the last time I saw him on Red Dogs, that he was sick. He wasn't feeling too good at the time, and so I kind of wanted to keep my distance. I didn't want to bother him too much. I have such reverence for him and other elders like in that way. But he was always very, very willing to give commentary in a good way, constructive support to all actors, and it was always just a good, calm presence to be around.
All right. Well, I know that Gary Farmer and Wes Studi, you two were also in Res Dogs and had scenes with Graham Greene. And we're going to talk a lot more here, folks. We're going to talk a lot more with these guests here today about the life and legacy of Graham Greene. And of course, we welcome callers. Maybe you met Graham Greene. Maybe you worked with Graham Greene as well, or maybe you're just a fan and you watched a lot of these movies and television shows that he appeared in over the years. We got the phone lines open, and you can give us a call right now. Producers are standing by, waiting for you to call. That number, 1-800-996-2848. 1-800-996-2848, or just 1-800-99-NATIVE. We'll be right back. Cultural connections are a proven pathway to improve persistently troubling suicide statistics for Native Americans. But resources to provide those services are hard to come by, and the Trump administration is dissolving the main federal mental health agency. We'll get a report on available suicide prevention resources coming up on the next Native America Calling.
Program support by the Colorado Plateau Foundation, a Native-led foundation supporting Native-led initiatives protecting lands, waters, and cultures of the Plateau for generations to come. The Colorado Plateau Foundation helps to build networks, community, and organizational capacity. The Colorado Plateau Foundation is accepting grant proposals through September 5th. Eligibility information is available at coloradoplateaufoundation.org.
You are listening to Native America Calling, and we're focusing on the life and legacy of actor Graham Greene. Plenty of time to join the conversation today. Share your favorite Graham Greene roles. Give us a call, 1-800-996-2848. How did Graham Greene's work inspire you? Let us know. 1-800-99-NATIVE. One of our guests today, Wes Studi, is on the line. He worked with Greene for many years. And Wes, I want to ask you, because your career, you have had a very long career along with Graham Greene, and Native representation has just changed so much from what it looked like 20, 30, 40 years ago. And in those early years, did you and Graham Greene ever have conversations about how Native people were being portrayed on film, on television, and what you could do to improve that?
Well, first of all, I simply like to acknowledge my co-guests on your show here, Vince and Dallas and Gary. Hey, good to be on a radio show with you. And I just wanted to kind of share one thing about about Graham that always comes to mind, wherein we were working on a set of one of those mysteries that I was just mentioned earlier. And Graham just simply amazed me in terms of how he was such a comic person, right? I mean, comedy was in his blood to the max, I believe. Because, for one thing, we were on set, like I mentioned, on a night shoot one time, and we lost power, so we had plenty of time to sit around there just waiting for power to be restored so we could start continuing to work. And he and that Carradine, I believe it was Keith, they got together, sat around one of these old barrel kind of a thing that we used as a table, sitting there, and they began to tell jokes. And it was almost like they could say number 21, number 32, like back and forth. And I'm sitting, a few feet away from them just cracking up at these jokes. And they are sitting there just as serious as could be, just back and forth. It was like a duel of jokes, one right after another, and neither one of them would crack a laugh or anything, but just tell the joke. 1, 2, 3, it's over, a punchline. The other one starts with another one, back and forth like that. I swear they went at it for at least 45 minutes to an hour from what I remember. It was just amazing to watch them carry on like that. But, yeah, that's when I think of Graham, it's one of the images that shows up in my brain. Amazing guy.
Ah, geez. It sure sounds like it, Wes. Really does. Let's listen to another clip of a Graham Greene performance. This is from the 1992 film Thunderheart, in which he played tribal officer Walter Crowhorse. In this scene, he's talking with Agent Ray Lavoie, played by Val Kilmer.
Whoever killed Leo walks heel-toe.
Plantigrade.
Yeah, like a white man. Jimmy has a real serious Indian walk. Carries about 140 pounds. This guy was a big son of a buck. Based on the depth of that print, pressure releases, I'd say he goes 210, 215.
You gonna tell me how much change he had in his pocket?
63 cents.
You're out of your jurisdiction. Let's go.
Jurisdiction's the only thing you got.
And that was one of my favorite performances. I really, really liked that. I still watch that movie sometimes. I got it on DVD. Wes, and again, going back to what I asked about Native representation, I think of that movie, early 90s. That was really one of the pivotal periods when we started seeing just much more accurate representation of Native roles in film. The Native humor, it was really making an appearance on the big screen. What are your thoughts with regard to how Graham played that character of Walter Crowhorse?
Well, I like to think about it in terms of something that he has been quoted as saying over the years is just as an actor, what you can be yourself and bring what you have to offer and who you are to the character that you are playing. And after having seen, a lot of portrayals of natives done by non-natives over the years, it's something that I think we worked on subconsciously and just making ourselves appear to be more three-dimensional, more fully developed kind of people in our delivery of lines. Given whatever lines we had for whatever production we were doing, it's just a matter of bringing life to the dialogue, and I think that I don't know how much we were concerned about the actual changing of the portrayal of natives during that time. It was just a matter of presenting our characters as believable as possible, without having to do the he went that way kind of stuff. We always joked around about that to a certain extent, but as far as having real philosophical conversations about anything, it only went so far as far as Graham was concerned, was that we may be thinking about the philosophical aspects of our creations of image that would last forever on digital or whatever form. He usually cut it off by saying something like, well, that's a good thing, but, we're only clowns in this whole process, and usually would just kind of cut it off with some good humor, and everybody got a laugh out of it, And that I always appreciated that about him, in that serious is good, but sometimes it's better just to laugh about something,
Absolutely. Wes, I think everyone will have their own memories of Graham Greene's work, and you've already shared some great ones, but is there something in particular now that you think you're going to most remember him by or from?
I think it's hard to pinpoint any one particular thing about him. I'm just honored by the fact that I got the chance to have been on screen with him. I really didn't have as many scenes as I would like to have had with him throughout our careers, but I'm just grateful for the ones that I did have, and he was quite a guy, and I just can't get any more poetic than that.
Right. Well, Wes, thank you so much for coming on the show today and just sharing these stories with our listeners. Really, really appreciate you taking the time, okay? And you take good care of yourself.
Well, I'd like to hear more from the guys here, see what they had to say about him.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, Gary, I want to bring you back into the conversation. You were on Res Dogs too, and you had a lot of scenes with Graham Greene. I'm also interested in hearing your thoughts on just how Native representation has changed and how Graham and you and Wes and others, had a big role in bringing this evolution of what we see on screen today.
I was going to tell this quick story about, we were doing Res Dogs. It was in the middle of the second season, and I had a week or so, 10 days off, I think, between episodes, and I came home. And for some reason, I really wanted to seek out Graham, so I chased him down where he lived at the Stratford, Ontario, which is home of the world's greatest Shakespearean festival in North America, anyway, the Stratford Festival, which Graham actually participated in one of Shakespeare's plays a few years back to critical acclaim. But I don't know why I wanted to chase him down, but I went to one of his favorite haunts, and I stayed upstairs above in their kind of small hotel, and And Graham came the next lunch, and we sat down, and of course we've been friends for 50 years or more 60 years by then, 70 years maybe, 65 anyway. And he wanted to be on Res Dogs. And I said, wow, you bet. I'll go back and tell Sterling, and let's see what shakes, And in the end, in the third season, he got more episodes than I got, But I thought that was terrific. I mean, he was like a brother, to me. We had so many stories to tell, and of course, when we both had success in our careers. There was a point where I was really pushing for him to be, Buddy Redbow in Powwow Highway. In the end, he played the Vietnam veteran to a T. It was beautiful. And of course, A did a beautiful job with Buddy A. Martinez. And but so many stories to tell. There is a recognition. They're playing Thunderheart at the Center for Contemporary Art the week from the 11th of September all the way to the 18th, I think, in recognition of his career, which is an amazing film. And of course, also a beautiful appearance from the late John Trudell as well, who was really special in Thunderheart. And of course, a rare film appearance of Sheila Tousey, all of whom have been family for years. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many stories to tell of Graham and our life together, because I just realized that when he got the Academy Award nomination, we were doing a hit play called Dry Lips Ought to Move to Kapuskasing by a Cree playwright named Thompson Highway. It was a profound play. I gave up Hollywood career to come back and do that play, and Graham, and I and 5 other Indian men, along with 1 Indian woman, made that play the best play in Canada, probably in the 90s. And we were doing that play in Ottawa, the nation's capital, when Graham got the Academy Award nomination, which was really an amazing period of time for Indian country, to actually have a Native nominated, for a performance. And of course, all of our brothers and sisters were in that play. The late Floyd Crow Westerman, Tantu Cardinal. I mean, so many more. And so it was just really special to be a part of that movement of excitement. And there's a lot of clips being screened in Canada here because he played so much Canadian television to a T. A lot of comic performances on the Red Greene show, and also the Royal Canadian Air Farce. Some memorable moments and some great interviews about him online. Talking about him approaching the work of Shakespeare as a Native American. So there's so much treasures there for us now because of media and such, and where it is on Instagram and Facebook and all the social platforms.
It really seems like he just had so much range. He could do it at comedy, drama, suspense, thrillers. I mean, theater performances like you described. He just had so much range as an actor, Gary. Thank you again for sharing. Let's go to the phones. We have a listener. This is Cassie, who is listening to our show online in Nashville, Tennessee. Hello, Cassie. You're on the air.
Hello, Sean. I am thoroughly enjoying this tribute to Graham Greene. I met him in Omaha, Nebraska at the University of Nebraska in Omaha through the Native Studies program, and I also met Gary Farmer. They came to our Native Festival, but I was so happy to hear Gary mention his stage work. So I didn't know he had performed on stage, and I love The Merchant of Venice, where he played Shylock. And I wish I could have seen him as Lenny of Mice and Men, another favorite character of mine. But he was a wonderful, wonderful actor. And I'm going to try and check on YouTube and see if there's any way I can check out those plays that he was in. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Cassie. Really appreciate you calling in here. And phone lines are still open, 1-800-996-2848. For anyone who would like to join this conversation, 1-800-996-2848. Gary, we've got about a minute here before we have to take another break, but sounds like Cassie is not only a big fan of Graham Greene, but also a big fan of your work, and she mentions Of Mice and Men, John Steinbeck's work. Anything you want to share with her before we go to break?
I performed Lenny from Mice and Men at least 2 or 3 times in my career at different regional theaters in Canada here, and it was wonderful to see Graham embrace the role at the Stratford Festival on our biggest stage in Canada. But our times developing that play, Dry Lips Ought to Move to Kapuskasing, which was a total comic first act and a tragic second act that just pulled your heart out and threw it in the air, was such a powerful performance because it was all native cast. It was all native written and eventually native directed and produced by a native company, Native Earth Performing Arts, which we were both a big part of. But also our work with the history of the village of the small huts was like Punch and Judy. It was like Monty Python of the day. And that stuff, and we retold Canadian history through those methodologies of big props, tight lighting, hitting the mark perfectly. And Graham and I played Tecumseh, and he played the prophet, which was Tecumseh's brother.
Okay. Gary, we got to take another break here. We'll be right back. We've got another caller, and we've got more guests to talk to as well.
Support by the American Indian College Fund. The American Indian College Fund provides millions of dollars of scholarships to thousands of Native students every year. Tribal citizens of every age and experience are eligible. The deadline for applications is May 31st, and you can find everything you need to apply at collegefund.org. That's collegefund.org, or by phone at 800-766-FUND. Education is the answer.
You have it tuned to Native America Calling. We are celebrating the life and legacy of Oneida actor Graham Greene today, and you can join us. Just call 1-800-996-2848. That number is also 1-800-99-NATIVE. We've got another caller on the line right now. This is Nolene, who is in Rapid City, South Dakota, listening on Keeley Radio. Hello, Nolene. You are on the air.
Honey Wash Day. My name's Lynette Nolene. I heard you guys, I turned on the radio, I heard you guys were talking about Graham Greene, and I was like, hey, I met the guy. At the time when they were filming Thunderheart, I was his housekeeper, and I was in a walking cast, and I was coming in one morning, and he was just relaxing on the front, on the concrete, on the ground, and doing his scripts, and he started joking around, and he was like, hey, what happened to your leg? And I was like, well, I just kind of twisted it. And he's like, oh, and he made a joke like, oh, I thought it was from horseback riding. And he had a lot of humor. And then I also reside down where he stops down Kilmer going up the hill. They call that Quiver Hill. And I also reside down there. And also I love his show that he had, Skin Mogi. So we all tease each other about, like, you're Mogi, or we just tease each other about Mogi. We always, like, tease my cousin, like, hey, Mogi, get over here. But it was really nice to meet him, and especially in person. He had a lot of humor, and especially with Thunderheart. And I'm thankful to have met him in my life. And first to everybody that met him.
Okay. Nolene, thank you so much for those are beautiful, beautiful stories. And I'm glad you mentioned that movie Skins, because that's another one of my favorites. I really, really liked him in that role as well. Wow. Just some really cool stories. Really, really interesting conversation we're having here today. Great guests, great callers. And Dallas, I want to go back to you because you just worked with Graham Greene on this new movie Seeds. Can you talk about that and what that experience was like just very recently?
Yeah, I got to work on this film by Conatillo Horn, and it's called Seeds. It's now going to get distributed in the U.S. here, but it was a great experience. And Conatillo is a really close friend of mine. Most folks know her as Deer Woman from Reservation Dogs, and she hit me up when she got the money to make this film, and she said, "Hey, I wrote a part for you and Graham Greene," and she's like, "I literally wrote Graham Greene into the script." And if you watch the movie, he shows up as himself. And, she would talk about that. The reason for that is just because he's such an icon. And he did this mystery documentary series up in Canada, and she wrote that into the show. He was the host of almost like a mystery ghost story documentary show. And that was a big part of the show. And we did the film festival together, and he was funny, man. I'm telling you, he had a lot of humor and crack jokes all the time. I just want to say and acknowledge, like, both Graham and Wes, who's on the call here, and Gary. My favorite roles of all of them, and Graham, I'll say first of all, one of my favorite roles that he ever did was he played Detective Lambert in the Die Hard movie, the third movie, Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what I loved about it is they never say he's not an Indian. They don't say he's Indian. He's just a cop that works with the main character, with Bruce Willis's character. I love that. Makes me think of Detective Castles. I forgot how he says his name, but Wes Studi's role in Heat.
Right. Yeah. Same thing. Yeah.
I think of for Gary and his role even in Powell Highway and Filbert was a pivotal role for me as an actor to see natives being native actors, but they're not necessarily. I don't see them as being a native portraying a native character. They're portraying fully complex human beings, and that was just so inspiring. And Graham and this long list of shows and movies and things that he's done has always inspired me as an actor to come first and foremost with all my capabilities as a human being and put that on the screen. And I think he's always done that in such a beautiful way and a powerful way that has just made me feel so well represented, but also just so passionate about the craft of acting.
Yeah, thank you, Dallas. And yeah, that's like, why can't you just have a native person in a role and it doesn't have to, they can just be a character like a police officer. It's so cool. Thank you again, Dallas. Seeds, let's go ahead and take a listen to a scene from that comedy thriller. And this is a special role in which Graham Greene played himself. In the film, he is the subconscious and the start of a favorite true crime show. Let's take a listen.
So I'm your subconscious now. And quite frankly, I'm wondered why you're so obsessed with that old TV show. What's that all about?
I don't know, your voice is kind of soothing, I guess.
It's a pretty dark bedtime stories, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. So, what now?
You're a strong, intelligent, beautiful Mohawk woman. You can handle anything that's thrown at you. I know you can. There's things you gotta protect.
Yeah, I know, the seeds.
That was Graham Greene appearing with actor and director Conatillo Horn from the comedy thriller Seeds that we just heard about from Dallas Goldtruth. Now, that's a recent project. Let's go back in the archives here a few years to the early 1990s and hear a clip from the old TV series Northern Exposure. Here, Graham Greene plays the role of Leonard Quinahawk, and he meets the main character, Dr. Fleischman, who is played by actor Rob Morrow.
I've been practicing medicine since I was 12, almost 30 years. My training has been very orthodox, very traditional. But lately I've begun to think that my approach has been too narrow, that I should open myself up to alternative forms, less holistic. Maybe it's biologic, but at my age, you've begun to question things, reevaluate your life. Not just professionally, but everything.
Well, that's an old cut there. I still remember when that show used to air on CBS, and that was a big hit in my apartment at the time back in Albuquerque, New Mexico, as a student at UNM. And let's go ahead and bring Vince Schilling into our conversation now. We need to hear from Vince. He is the editor and founder of NativeViewpoint.com, certified Rotten Tomatoes critic. Vince, thank you again for joining the show. Great to have you. What are you feeling so far? Just listening to all these stories, all of these experiences with different guests. We got callers. Everybody's just celebrating today with the legacy of Graham Greene.
Well, it's interesting that you've been sitting here, and I'm just really overwhelmed with all these incredibly beautiful words from Wes Studi and Dallas and Gary Farmer and Dallas Goldtooth. You just said some really great things, buddy. I just really appreciate all of you, all three of you. I also want to acknowledge one more guest. Is I know Graham's here with us today. I can feel him sitting with us, and he's listening to this all. You know, what I feel is that Graham Greene, he, to me, represents the epitome of persistence and a willingness to work hard in this industry. He really did something exceptional in the sense he's an actor who was Oneida, and he really put Native people on the map in the film industry. It's amazing to see on his IMDb page with over 100 films and nearly 100 TV roles. You know, young Native actors today will never know, at least firsthand, in terms of personal experience, just what it was like to be a Native American actor 50 years ago. You know, I am so grateful I had the chance to speak with him regarding his role in Wind River. Oh my gosh. And, you know, as a journalist, I always strive to say thank you, you know, when I'm talking to someone and let them know I recognize their hard work and efforts. And I would imagine I did, but just in case, thank you, Nyawa, Graham. I appreciate everything you've done. And I also want to say thank you to Wes Studi, Gary Farmer, and of course to you two, Dallas. But what I'm saying in terms of thanks is to your hard work over the years, Wes and Gary, because all the young actors today know that they're standing on your shoulders, you know, because of what you've done. You paved the way so that Native actors can hold their heads high, knowing that we represent correctly and respectfully. It's a huge thing. You know, one of the most iconic things I saw was a photo from Reservation Dogs, you know, where Wes Studi is Bucky, Gary Farmer is Uncle Brownie, and Graham Greene's there as Maximus, and of course they're sitting with T.C. Camp Hornick as Irene. But I was like, what an iconic image, the three of you sitting there. It was just spectacular. And, you know, I reached out to Tonka Means and Joey Clift and Taboo, and they all gave me comments regarding Graham's memorial article. And both Joey Clift and Tonka Means were like, man, I remember he was so funny. I remember his comedic roles. And, you know, a lot of people don't think of Native actors as funny, you know. So I just have to say I am incredibly honored and profoundly grateful that I'm even able to talk about this today. You know, what a gift, and what a gift all of you have done. You know, all three of you.
Absolutely,
you know,
absolutely,
it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you, Vince. And we still got Wes Studi on the line. And Wes, you can hear just the outpouring of love and respect from Vince Schilling for, of course, you and Gary Farmer and Graham Greene and Dallas Goldtooth. I'd like to give you a moment to respond to Vince Schilling, because I think he really speaks from the heart for a lot of Native people who are listening to the show right now.
Yeah, well, thank you, Vince. It does feel good to be acknowledged for that. But the fact that we're able to be here and talk about, unfortunately, the passing of one of the people that you speak of here as being a part of that, I guess, sort of a movement in terms of Native actors. We I would venture to say that we were there doing it for the love of doing it, and that by that I mean the act of acting, or I sometimes like to call it being. But yeah, it's very touching to be associated by others with a person like an actor like Graham, and I thank you for the inclusion.
Yeah, absolutely, Wes, for sure. And Vince, I want to go back. I mean, we've already talked about so many of these iconic roles of Graham Greene's, but are there any of your favorites that you'd like to share, or just experiences? I mean, as a critic, I know you've watched every one of these performances so many times.
I really loved him as the tribal police officer in Wind River. I don't know why it just stuck out to me so much, because he was just so matter of fact, and he's just like, yeah, the way he talked to me when I talked to him about it, he was just like, it is what it is, Vince. He to me, I don't know. Wes and Gary may know this, but if you look at his list of films that he's done everything. He's been in like a film about lobstering, a film about, just everything he's done. He says he one time played a guy who wore high heels and, underwear, and he jumping out of a window. And, he did so many different roles. I don't think he's the man who said no to anything. I think he just is the epitome of loving what he did. He just loved acting, and I really also liked him in Echo, as the inventor. I thought they really could have went even further on that. He's just a pleasure to be around, or just to watch on screen. He's just engaging and authentic, because he doesn't put on an air. He is who he is, whether you like it or not. He's not here to make you like him or dislike him. He just is. And I think that is the truest essence of genuine acting, is the authenticity of a role. Doing something where you're not like, what are you doing? Is that fake? Is that this? No, he just was authentic in terms of what he portrayed on screen.
Thanks, Vince. Gary, I want to have you chime in here as we begin to wind down the show. We got about a minute, but I just wanted to ask you, Vince mentions all these different roles that Graham Greene had. And did he ever talk with you about like how he selected roles, or which types of roles appealed to him? Did he have kind of a system with how he chose what projects to work on?
Well, you always want to work because you're self-employed, right? So sometimes you'll take a part that isn't necessarily in your realm of reference or in your realm of reality, but because you need to survive as the performer. And of course, we all lived through those. I mean, Graham and I probably did at least 13 years of performance in the theater before either of us broke as, big actor types. So it was a means of survival. And so you made everything yours. And if you weren't happy with its portrayal of Native America, then you confronted it. And that was how we survived. We had to change the narrative. And I think we did.
I think you did too. And I think everybody listening to the show agrees with that. Gary Farmer, thank you so much. Dallas Goldtooth, Wes Studi, Vince Schilling, really appreciate all of you taking the time to talk with our listeners today here on Native America Calling as we celebrated the life and legacy of Graham Greene. And please, listeners, don't forget, join us again. We will be back Monday for a look at the progress and setbacks in suicide prevention efforts for Native Americans. We're going to go ahead and give a shout out to our hardworking NAC production crew in Albuquerque, New Mexico, as well as the staff and our parent corporation, Quantic Broadcast Corporation, in Anchorage, Alaska. These are the hardworking folks that make this show possible every day on the air, weekdays live for our listeners. I'm Sean Spruce. Have a safe weekend.
Support provided by Amerind. Amerind is 100% tribally owned and partners with tribes and their businesses to provide affordable commercial insurance coverage, protect tribal sovereignty, and strengthen Native American communities by helping to keep dollars in Indian country. Information about property, liability, commercial auto, and workers' comp available at amerind.com. That's AMERIND.com.
Support by AARP. If someone asks you to buy gift cards to pay off debt, it's a scam. Imposters will claim your Social Security number's at risk, or your utility company will stop service due to late payments, or you won the lottery and only need to pay some upfront costs. They'll say the fastest way is to buy gift cards and share the numbers on the back. Anyone who tells you to pay a debt with a gift card is a scammer. More information on gift card scams at aarp.org/giftcards.
Native America Calling is produced in the Annenberg National Native Voice Studios in Albuquerque, New Mexico by Quantic Broadcast Corporation, a Native nonprofit media organization. Funding is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting with support from the Public Radio Satellite Service. Music is by Brent Michael Davids. Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.